In 2014, an officer was killed in Jersey City named Melvin Santiago. He was executed. He was pulling up to a call in progress. The perp disarmed the security guard, and as they pulled up, he didn't have a chance. He was shot and killed. So we decided we wanted to send flowers to his arrangement, but we didn't want them to be from any particular person. We wanted them to be for everybody. So we were looking kind of like trying to figure out a way to say that. So I just started bouncing ideas around in my head, and Brothers Before Others is what came to mind. So after we sent the flowers to that funeral, then I kind of made a decision that I thought maybe we should be sending them to everyone.
Is this a Brothers Before Others Evan Williams vintage bourbon?
One of one, barreled in 2006, put in a bottle in 2015.
This might be, I mean, we've had some real special bottles brought to the whiskey wall, but this might, you didn't even want to drink this.
Nope, but we are.
You have to. I
Yeah,
mean,
okay.
once you come to, where's your glass?
Right here. Well, I'm going to go out of the mug,
I like that mug.
like the old Johnny Carson days.
I like that hoodie,
Which has its
too.
coffee.
I like that a lot.
Proud pig.
Here, look, we won't go crazy. So you're part of this whole Brothers Before Others thing, huh?
Yes, I founded it in 2014. Well, cheers to that.
Cheers to that. Oh, it smells delightful. For anybody here who's watching who's never heard of Brothers Before Others before, tell them all about it.
So it's a Facebook group. It started out as a Facebook group. In 2014, an officer was killed in Jersey City named Melvin Santiago. He was executed. He was pulling up to a call in progress. The perp disarmed the security guard, and as they pulled up, he didn't have a chance. He was shot and killed. So we decided we wanted to send flowers to his arrangement, but we didn't want them to be from any particular person. We wanted them to be for everybody. So we were looking kind of like trying to figure out a way to say that. So I just started bouncing ideas around in my head, and Brothers Before Others is what came to mind. So after we sent the flowers to that funeral, then I kind of made a decision that I thought maybe we should be sending them to everyone. So we're not talking about a little spray of flowers, we're talking about a 2-foot by 3-foot arrangement, either a rectangular blue line or a heart with the blue line through it, you know, costing between $250 to $350 per arrangement. So that's what Brothers Before Others, that was our cornerstone. And we have not missed a line of duty death in over 4 years, to the sum of probably $150,000 at this point now. All comes from the members of the group. So we have about 4,500 members nationally, and all the funds that we raise for the flowers come through for the officers.
Where's the floral group?
Where's the group?
Yeah, 1-800-FLOWERS. I think it's time to go.
We're trying to put. I actually had that. Was going to do that a few years in, but I felt like we didn't have enough legs yet. I mean, there's a lot of charities out there,
Sure.
and everybody wants a piece of the pie. And I didn't want to make it. You only get one bite of the apple, right? So I
Yeah.
didn't want to make the presentation too soon. But I feel like now, after doing it for 4 years, and we have that established, that we have not missed one, and it's all out there for it's public information. The charity, they can see what we do. Plus, we make the postings as well.
So one of the things that's been really interesting from an outside perspective is that the name of your organization, Brothers Before Others, is so much bigger than just the mission that you started out with. And it seems from an outside perspective to be growing into something even bigger than that as well.
Correct. Well, one of the problems was when we thought of the name, I never knew it was going to be what it is today. I mean, we're pretty known throughout the country. And a lot of people outside, like civilians, will see Brothers Before Others, and they'll assume right away, oh, that means it's that blue wall, right? It's cops, it's us versus them.
Sure.
It's not that. What Brothers Before Others really means is take care of your own first, because a healthy, happy, functioning police officer is what every community needs. You don't need disgruntled, cynical cops. So if we try to take care of each other first, then we're better to serve the community. And as the charity has grown, you're right, we have taken on some social issues. Just recently in New Jersey, an executive for a hospital in New Jersey I don't even want to say the name because I didn't want to give him any press, disgusted by what she said. She said, I'm not exactly sure of the words, but basically that the American police officer needs to be trained not to shoot black youth first.
Well, she insinuated that cops are racist killers.
Right.
Let's call it what it is.
Okay, so and that was on a good story about Fair Lawn, New Jersey police officers being armed and placed in schools to protect children,
Right.
which is kind of like what we want, right? We want our kids to be safe and go to school. It's a safe place for them.
Yep.
And she took that and turned that into something disgusting. So we, as an organization, because what we're trying to do is help, cops and help our communities, we could not stand by and let that go. I mean, it's a false narrative.
Of course.
And, feelings and emotions have a place in a conversation, but you need to start from the facts first, and then we can talk about how we feel and what our opinions are. If we're starting from a place, American law enforcement needs to be trained not to shoot black youth. Like you said, that says we're racist killers. And if that's the starting point for a conversation, we never get anywhere.
Well, it's a false narrative that's not backed by even statistics, right? So 2015 FBI data, which was the most recent, available, says that narrative is completely and totally false and misguided and misleading, and has led towards a lot of increased attacks on police.
I believe the number is, and we have a press guy that does all this stuff, Rob O'Donnell, I think you'll be speaking to him soon. I believe the number is 99.5% of all shootings were armed assailants.
Yep.
And of the 0.5% of those shootings, the officer went to non-lethal force first before he went to his firearm. We are the most restrained police department now than we've ever been in the last, I think, 5 decades.
And the majority of assailants who were shot and killed were white.
Correct.
So I always hate having that conversation about race, but if we're going to have that conversation about race, it has to be rooted in facts.
And when you have people like this woman who's, ironically the director of diversity for this hospital, diversity, right? And then you have the CEO come out and say, walk back her apology and say she's best suited for the job for social justices as they move forward, and never even discuss or talk about the falsities that were stated. When someone like that, and she's an attorney, and she's a CEO, and she's getting all these awards in business and stuff like that. So people in the community look to her, and rightfully so, she's a very accomplished woman. But when she says stuff like that, people just take that at face value.
So what I love about what you guys did, I think it was a very powerful statement about our country as a whole. Right now we're very polarized, right? Very left, right, wrong, whatever it may be. And when somebody gets upset about something or offended, they immediately call for somebody's head on a platter. But that's not what you guys have done. No. You weren't even calling for her job. And I think that that's a huge differentiator. So what is the end game here?
Well, we don't want her fired. We don't, they suspended her for 4 or 5 days, paid.
Pay.
Right, she makes $1 million a year, so that's probably quick math, $15,000, $16,000 to stay home.
It's a hell of a vacation.
Yeah, I mean, that's, in some places, that's a third of a cop's salary for the year, right?
Easily.
So if we really want to tie things together, how ridiculous is that? But what we want is, we wanted dialogue. We wanted the CEO to come forward and meet with us, and we even offered to pay for, through another charity who's helping with this, the Tejan Foundation. Lori Tejan runs that. Her brother was killed in 9/11. So, that's another thing we don't talk about. When these statements come out, it just doesn't affect active police officers. Mm-hmm. We're talking about the families, the kids. I want to go home and have my daughter or son say, Dad, somebody at school said you kill black kids. I mean, that's the after effect of this stuff. Or fallen officer families, sisters, mothers, brothers. It's a black mark on an officer's career. That's not here to even speak for himself anymore. So that's why we feel like we need to do that. So getting back to what you asked, if the CEO would come forward and say, hey, I support my worker, but I condemn her actions. You can support your worker, but say they did something wrong. He doesn't even seem to want to do that. He's not taking us serious. So
to that point, they have a social media policy in place at that company.
Correct. That
employees have been fired over. She clearly violated the social policy and got a paid vacation.
We have a lot of support from inside that hospital. RWJ Barnabas, let's just say that's the hospital, okay? And we have a lot of support from inside those walls. And, we've had stuff leaked to us like that social media policy. And, unions from inside that hospital are with us. They can't say too much because they'll...
Of course. But this is common sense. this is right versus wrong. This is about
Right.
doing the right thing. And if someone comes forward and says, listen, we screwed up. We want to get out in front of this. We made a mistake. I think that ends everything.
Right, and I don't speak for all law enforcement. I'm one guy, and I run one charity. And of course there's room for improvement. There always is. When someone thinks they have a problem solved and they don't look to even try other avenues, that's when we all lose. So yeah, we could probably do better, but like I said before, we can't start from that place of we're racist killers. Because we're never going to get anywhere, because it's just yelling and screaming at that point. So we offered to do a coffee with a cop, and they just ignored it. And we were going to pay for it at a hospital of their choice. If they wanted to go into an urban area, Patterson, Passaic, Newark, we'd go there. If they want to stay in West Orange or Livingston in their nice corporate area, we'd go there. We'll go where they want us to go, but they have not, for someone who wants to take the lead on social justice, they don't seem to be really interested in dialogue.
I think your problem is the approach. I think you should have tried whiskey with the cop, because that's how we roll. What's next for Brothers Before Others?
Well, Johnny talked to you, I think, about what we want to do in 2019 in Florida for the anniversary of the shooting. We want to take a more active role in social issues, and this was the first one that we're doing is with these outrageous statements. Continue to raise money and funds to fund the Flower Fund. And we do a lot of things in the community, if I could just get into a couple of those. Please. Do you remember when that man was killed on Facebook Live? Yep. Mr. Godwin? Our officers in our charity raised money, unsolicited. I didn't make a post, they just started bringing money in. And we're not a check and a mail charity. We're nationwide, so we get on our van and we drive. We drove to Cleveland. We made a donation of, I think, $6,000 to the mother of the two young boys. Wow. Working a single mom in like a low-paying salary job, like a flipping burgers and stuff. That $6,000 meant a lot to her.
Huge.
Flint, Michigan, when they had no water, we paid for a truckload of water to go out there for the community. We do hospital visits for sick kids.
And we've got to give a shout out, man. Have you met the chief over in Flint, Michigan?
Well, we have the guys in Detroit who who worked there. So they drove down to Flint and dealt with the chief.
Great department. If you guys haven't checked out, they have a show on Netflix called Flint Town.
Oh, I saw that. Yep.
The chief and his team, we got to go shooting with them. The guys from Angel Armor brought us
right.
up. They are an incredible crew. And to where you're going with this, that community was really devastated.
Yes, and ignored for a long time. So that's the other part of the Brothers Before Others, right? Like I was talking about before, bringing it full circle. When that cop is in a good place, law enforcement officer is a good place, then we can start working on doing things in the community. And so nationwide, what they'll do is an officer will come to us and say, this is a problem I'm having in my community. What can you do to help? Awesome. And then we put our heads together and we say, they need something, a gymnasium, or a school needs uniforms, or a sports team needs uniforms. Let's raise the money and donate it. And a lot of times they don't even know where it's coming from. That's awesome. Make the donation, give it to the cop, they bring it to the school.
Awesome. How can they help?
You can go to brothersbeforeothers.org. There's a donate button on there. Like I said, we're a not-for-profit 501c3, so it's tax deductible. They can check out our store. We sell merchandise. This is a different brand, but stuff like this, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Just check out the website, like what Johnny said before. Share when we post stories on our Facebook page, Brothers Before Others, public, because we have a public and a private for officers and for civilians. Share those stories as well. The good stories, right? We need more good stories, more positive stories out there.
Brother, thank you for the incredible
and thank you for the exposure. This is exactly what we need. Guys like you doing this.
Welcome
Appreciate
to the family. Guys, thanks for hitting that share button. Thanks for supporting them. God bless America.
I'll drink to that.